Thank you, Mr. Chair. The amendment that I'm offering is intended to fortify the underlying appropriations bill. Under the bill, the National Marine Fisheries Service in this amendment seeks to ensure that funding doesn't have a detrimental impact on my district. This amendment was adopted on the floor by a voice vote last year and added to the Energy and Water Appropriations Bill. Further, it was also supported in H.R. 1837 earlier this year, and you would have supported what this amendment will achieve. The San Joaquin River Restoration Program continues to push forward on an ill-advised path of wasting water out of the ocean under the guise of saving salmon. Every year, the San Joaquin Restoration Program would require the reintroduction of salmon into the San Joaquin River if this ill-advised attempt to introduce the species fails. The problem is that the river is not yet in a condition where the salmon can survive. There's still a number of different problems and projects along the river that need to be completed, from a bypass to several fish screens. Even in one section of the river, the administration hasn't even designated a channel for where the river should flow and will not for another 2 years. Premature introduction of salmon in the river will only lead to their death at a high cost to taxpayers and the local community. This amendment simply prohibits the premature reintroduction of an endangered salmon species into an uninhabitable river. Central Valley salmon runs are struggling to regain healthy numbers. This amendment ensures that bureaucrats don't purposely reduce the number of available salmon in other streams just to plant them in the San Joaquin system and further threaten the endangered species. Agencies already possess the authority to make the right decision and delay the reintroduction of salmon into a river that cannot sustain the life cycle of the salmon, but they continue to bend to the environmental agenda. More time is needed to build the infrastructure required for the San Joaquin River Restoration Program before the river can sustain a salmon run. Finally, even in the National Marine Fisheries Services has doubts about the success of reintroduction. Contained within the final draft of their reintroduction strategies, and the service stated the river would not support full-scale reintroduction of the salmon, and further, the Department of Interior and the Department of Commerce jointly stated that the completion of Phase 1 of the restoration project was needed before reintroduction of salmon can be successful. This is a very, very common sense issue. The river needs several different projects to be completed for the salmon to even survive. So why, year after year, would we take salmon off of other tributaries, move them to somewhere they can't survive at a huge expense to taxpayers? Mr. Speaker, it's a common sense amendment to prevent taxpayer dollars from being wasted on killing an endangered species. I urge all of my colleagues to support this amendment, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back for purpose